is your colleague, Senator from South Carolina, GOP Senator Lindsey Graham. Welcome back, Senator.
Thank you.
All right, I want to ask you about something, by the way, that you and Senator Fetterman have worked on a few things, but you also have both signed on to this resolution with regard to Iran's nuclear program. Part of that resolution says that all options should be considered. You and I have had this conversation about whether you mean a U.S. military strike in Iran. What do you mean? What are you urging President Trump to keep open as an option?
We're trying to define the world in which we live in accurately. Senator Fetterman has been a champion for the state of Israel. I went to him and asked him, would you work with me to do a census Senate resolution saying that over decades Iran has been trying to acquire a nuclear weapon, not a nuclear power plant, that they're the largest state sponsor of terrorism, that they would blow Israel off the map if they had a nuclear weapon, they would come after us, and he said, I would be glad to. So what this resolution does, it lays out the case against Iran's nuclear ambition. Bibi and the Israelis are going to have to make a decision relatively soon what to do about the Iran nuclear program. This is not an authorization to use force, but I'm here to tell you and the audience and the world that I think America should support an effort by Israel if they decide to decimate the Iranian nuclear program, because I think it's a threat to mankind. Israel is strong, Iran is weak. Hezbollah, Hamas have been decimated. They're not finished off, but they've been weakened. And there's an opportunity to hit the Iran nuclear program in a fashion I haven't seen in decades. And I think it would be in the world's interest for us to decimate the Iranian nuclear threat while we can. If we don't, we will regret it later. And Senator Fetterman has been a champion on this and every other issue regarding Israel.
Okay, so it sounds like you're saying it's more about supporting Israel if they decide to strike versus us having a U.S. military strike? Okay.
Yes, they need some assistance, but it would be their actions. Yeah.
Okay, now I want to try to get some answers from you on some of these nominees. Let's start with RFK Jr. You've been one of the most pro-life folks in the Senate for a long time. The National Review has this warning. Pro-lifers should be especially wary of a man who publicly advocated legislation to codify Roe v. Wade in 2023 and affirmed in 2024 that he supported legal abortion, quote, even if it's full term. Given your dedication to that topic, is it something you're willing to compromise on?
Well, I am now okay supporting RFK Jr. because I think during the course of the hearing he's committed to a Republican pro-life agenda, President Trump's pro-life agenda, Mexico City policy, dealing with chemical abortions. So I will take him at his word. I'm comfortable with what he said on the pro-life issue. He has been radically pro-choice as a person, but I do believe that as secretary, he will implement a pro-life agenda that will be pushed by President Trump. So I will be a yes.
Okay.
But I'll also watch every move he makes.
Okay, I'm assuming you're a yes on RFK Jr., assuming you're a yes on Kash Patel. What about Tulsi Gabbard?
Yes. Yeah, I'll be yes on her. I was waiting to see what she said about 702. That's the ability to track foreigners overseas who may be involved in plots against the country. I actually served in a reserve unit with Tulsi. I've always liked her. I think a lot of her criticism against her has been really mean and off base, but I'll be a yes now. She's shown her understanding of how vital 702 is. So I'll be a yes on RFK Jr. Tulsi Gabbard and Kash Patel knocked it out of the park. He's the antidote to Crossfire Hurricane. He's going to go in and clean the FBI out to make sure it's never abused like it was in the past. And Crossfire Hurricane was one of the saddest, most dangerous chapters in FBI history. He's the guy that helped expose it, and he'll be the solution, not the problem, when it comes to the FBI, in my view.
You know that much of what he faced in questioning was about retribution, about what he's going to do within the FBI. He's not there yet, but my colleagues at FoxNews.com report this. Acting Deputy Attorney General Emil Bove sent a memo to the acting FBI director Friday evening directing him to terminate 8 FBI employees and identify all current and former Bureau personnel assigned to January 6th and Hamas cases for an internal review. Now, Senator Blumenthal, your colleague, says, I'm appalled by this vile retaliation against agents who sought to hold accountable people who stabbed cops with flagpoles and crushed officers until they broke bones. The silence from my Republican colleagues is disgusting and deafening. Your response?
Well, number one, as to changing personnel at the FBI, I think that's a good place to start. How do you expect the FBI to change if you keep everybody in place that's been part of the problem? I've been open about the January 6 pardons of people who committed violent acts against cops. I don't like it. But we're talking about the FBI. We're talking about people who looked the other way, were part of the problem, allowed the FBI to get warrants against an American citizen called Carter Page based on Russian disinformation called the Steele dossier. They lied to the court. So I'm looking forward to some of these people finding a new job. Now, if you're an agent working on a January 6th case or some other case and you were assigned to do it, and you know, you shouldn't be punished just for doing your job. But this idea of keeping everybody in place in the government after Trump won the election is insane. I think he should have the ability to put people in management positions that share his vision of how to move forward on the American First agenda. There's nothing unusual about that to me.
Okay, I want to ask you quickly about the tariffs. Mexico, Canada already saying they will issue full retaliatory tariffs in exchange. China's going to the World Trade Organization. Your colleague Senator Coons put out this statement when they became official yesterday. He says, you know, President Trump said he was going to drive down prices to make America more affordable. Then on day 13 of his presidency, quote, he imposed tariffs that will send prices skyrocketing. Is it a good move?
Well, I think it's 3,000 Americans die every 2 weeks from fentanyl poisoning coming across the Mexican border. They make the drugs, fentanyl, produce them in Mexico. Their precursors come from China. We've been overrun in terms of 11 million illegals coming across the Mexican border. If you want tariffs to go away, Mexico and China, stop poisoning Americans. Stop sending fentanyl into America to kill Americans. If you want to have a better relationship, Mexico with the United States, do your part on the other side of the border. To our friends in Canada, I really appreciate what you're doing on the northern border. I think these tariffs are designed to get these countries to change their behavior. I am glad that we're pushing back against China and Mexico when it comes to fentanyl poisoning of America. I am glad we're putting everybody on notice that the old way of doing business is over. There's been a 60% drop in illegal crossings in 10 days. So these tariffs, I think, are designed to bring about change. And if the change comes, I think the tariffs probably go away.
All right. Senator Graham, always great to have you. Thanks for the time today.
Thank you.
All right. Well, the DNC